His playoff career has certainly had its highs and lows. He's 5-1 in the wild card round when the Bills scored 30 points in each of their last 4 trips there. But the trouble has been on the road. He has not won a playoff game away from home. 0-4, has another road test Sunday in Jacksonville. Obviously had all those tough losses in Kansas City. Overall, he enters the postseason with 7 playoff wins as a starter, the most without a Super Bowl appearance all time. No other quarterback has more than 5. And given all of that I just read, RC, how much pressure do you think is on Allen in this one?
All of it?
Yeah.
The most. Every playoff game from this point on is the most important game in Josh Allen's career. We know that he doesn't have great skill players around him. We know that he has a defense with deficiencies. And I really don't give a damn. Patrick Mahomes is not in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson is not in the playoffs. Joe Burrow is not in the playoffs. You are the unquestioned guy at the position, and you got to beat people like Trevor Lawrence and Bo Nix and Drake May and C.J. Stroud. You're supposed to do it. No one is going to want to hear the excuses. And probably since about the divisional round in 2021, Josh Allen has lived in this bubble that you couldn't criticize him. And if you criticized him, you were wrong because of what he did in that divisional playoff round, because of what we've seen during the season. If he loses this game, it's on him. I'm not going to care if James Cook doesn't play well. I'm not going to care if Shakir drops balls. I'm not going to care if they can't stop the run. I'm going to care that Josh Allen is the best player left playing in football right now, and he couldn't will his team to win. We have seen the greats drag teams who aren't supposed to be Super Bowl champions to Super Bowls, and there are no other greats in the AFC playing right now. So Josh Allen has to show up in this game, and the support system has to raise its play, or his play has to raise theirs.
Or we're going to have to talk about him differently, in your estimation.
I think at some point, we're going to have to say, okay, Josh, we know what you've done in the past. We believe you've shown up in other situations, but they needed you to show up this year, and you didn't show up in the way that allowed them to keep playing.
Okay, so he's not facing any other quarterbacks. He's facing the Jags defense. Yeah. Talk to me about the challenges that they're going to present.
Jaguars have a good defense. They have not seen an offense nearly as good as Buffalo's. Yep. Probably since they played the Rams in mid-October. And everyone's talked about how good this run defense is, that it's the best run defense in the NFL. Just for context, because everybody has crushed New England for their quote-unquote strength of schedule. In this win streak, they really haven't seen a run game that's top 10. We'll put the Jets in there, and Jets obviously were a very much so struggling football team in general the final month of the season when they played against each other. This is the best run game in football. It's the best offensive line when it comes to running the game, football in the NFL. Indy did not have necessarily Daniel Jones when they played against them. Denver's not a high-end run team. They're a little bit hit and miss. The Jets were a shell of themselves from the beginning of the start of the season. So if I'm Buffalo, there's a level of respect for this Jacksonville run defense. But I want to see, can you handle duo? Yeah. Like, can you handle my double teams? Can you handle my tight ends in the run game? Can you handle my blocking wide receivers on the perimeter? Then we'll find out how good this run defense actually is.
Let's talk about the quarterbacks in this matchup. All right. Both of them have been at their best against the Blitz this season. Drake May, you too. Drake May and Justin Herbert are top 2 in the NFL this season.
Hang in there, Hannah.
Okay. Swagoo, help me out here. Help me out here, my love. Can you talk to me about this Chargers defense? How did they slow down Drake May?
I'm going to be serious, Hannah. Okay. Everybody want to play today on the show. I'm going to be serious. Okay. All right. Here's what has to happen. Here's what has to happen. And RC, stop looking like that, because I almost called you and told you to do this because I really don't have a clue. All I know is that you can never know where Derwin James is if you're Drake May. You can never know where he's coming from. You can never know if he's covering your tight end or he dropping into the zone playing a robber. This is what he has done to tight ends, and we know Hunter Henry is a big part of this offense. And look at Derwin James since 2021, 4.9 yards to tight ends. That is absolutely phenomenal. You look at the rest of the names in there. That is what I'll be watching in this game, because Drake May is playing with so much a sense of ease. He's understanding where pressure is coming from. He knows where everybody is before pre-snap and post-snap. That's him and Josh McDaniels. Derwin James has to be that chess piece, and how they use him is going to be super interesting to me.
Marcus, and to speak to what you're saying, I think back to the Buffalo Bills' last matchup with the New England Patriots in that second half when Sean McDermott was mixing up coverages and mixing up pressures. And then you look at what Jesse Mentor was able to do to C.J. Stroud from the second quarter on with the pressures, making him get the football out of his hands, turning the football over. I want to see how much he employs Derwin James in disguising and moving to those different things. But I'm excited to watch Justin Herbert play. I've become such a big fan of this young man throughout this season because of the talent, because of the toughness, what he's been able to do with an offense that lost 2 extremely exceptional tackles. Justin Herbert hasn't gotten the credit he deserves for his individual play based on playoff performances, losing a 24-point lead in Jacksonville, throwing more interceptions in one game last year against Houston than he did the entire season. It's going to be important for him to protect the ball and create big plays for an undermanned team. And if he can do that, he gives this team a great opportunity to advance.
Yeah, those 4 picks, that was brutal. So was the blown lead. RC, though, is on the Chargers, and he is the only one, the man on an island.
Bro, I don't hate that at all.
Appreciate you, buddy.
RC,
yeah, you know what? I'm just trying to say to you
quick.
guys, you know, I believe in Jesse Mentor. I think there is something to Drake May in his first opportunity to be in these playoffs, and they're so creative defensively, and I believe when you look at the way they can pressure the quarterback, even with 4, with those disguises, they're an extremely underrated front and defense.
What does he bring to the table, Adams?
Yeah, I think the reality is we often talk about receivers by themselves and don't really correlate it to the red zone. And that's the impact that he's had on this football team is they're able to weaponize Devontae by himself. And it's a big-time challenge for a defense just math-wise. If you want to play one-on-one and maybe commit some other numbers to a Puka or those 3 tight ends or the run game, there's just not a lot of people that can, on a consistent basis, lock him up one-on-one with either that move at the line of scrimmage fade to the corner or that shake and then slant. The other reality is if you don't feel great about that, and I'll be interested to see if it's J.C. Horn or Mike Jackson matching up in those situations, do you lean that extra body over there? And then that allows Sean McVay to go, well, we can run the football or we can get into our keeper game. And I think the other thing for this offense that's huge is blocking Derek Brown. You know, with no Kevin Dotson at right guard, that's a significant loss. Derek Brown is one of if not the best run-stopping defensive tackles in football this year. And we do have evidence of defensive tackles in the playoffs ruining football games. And so it sounds small, but when you have a defensive tackle that you can't, on a play-by-play basis, devote just one person to as an offensive perspective, that's a problem. So definitely the Devontae addition's a big deal. They got to make sure that they handle Derek Brown so he doesn't ruin the games.
Yeah, and listen, the Rams are the biggest road playoff favorites since the merger here, all right? So how can the Panthers pull off another upset? How can they do that again to L.A. on their home turf? Mina, give us a game plan.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's what they did last time. They got to turn Matthew Stafford over. That's it. And then offensively, they got to possess the football. And looking back at the game, the last time these two teams played, first of all, they have Robert Hunt now, which is the Rams are missing their starting guard. The Panthers have one. They ran the ball efficiently. They didn't have any explosive runs, but Chuba Hubbard was regularly grinding out 5, 6, 7 yards on the ground. That's how you keep the Rams from getting the football back. And then Bryce has to hit on a few shot plays downfield. I would say, looking at these teams, Dan, the only matchup advantage in Carolina has that I feel good about is I like their receivers against the Rams' corners. Really? Tedero McMillan and Jalen Coker. So Bryce has to hit on those throws. In every game that the improbable game that the Panthers have won, he's hit on a few of those. It's going to have to happen in this one on top of an efficient running game. Yeah,
I do think the McMillan versus Witherspoon matchup is interesting. Witherspoon always gives me a little hesitation because you can get over the top on him a couple times. Yeah. Will Bryce throw it?
Let's take a look at our picks here. Maybe this doesn't come as a surprise.
It's got to be a gong,
Yeah. We're all on the Rams.
This is fine.
But I have news. Did we actually break the NFL Live curse this season? Okay, guys, check this out. Chris, bring up the graphic. We were 31, 23, and 1 on the year when we all picked the same way on a game.
That's
How
not
about
bad.
that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Swagoo, what are your thoughts?
With that record.
What do you think about that, Swagoo? That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
That's
I think that's absolutely wonderful, and I think we need to stop making so much about picking the same team. Hell, that's who we think gonna win the damn games.
Also, too, guys, I just want to say this. You guys are the brightest football minds I know. The fact that we all agreed 23 times and that team lost is scary.
That is bad. And then there's the one. You're right.
Who's the
You're
one?
right. Glass half empty right
Yeah,
there.